This morning we are talking about student loans. According to a government study released Friday, risky lending caused private student loan debt to balloon in the past decade. The report focused on private student loans, which spiked from $5 billion in loans in 2001 to more than $20 billion in 2008. Now, in 2012, American consumers still owe more than $150 billion in private student loan debt. With back to school right around the corner, we wanted to look at other options for you. And when it comes to paying for college, attorney Jonathan Frutkin here. Of course, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time this morning. Okay, let's talk about this first one. Let's tackle it. Talk about first it was the housing crisis hurting the economy. Now we're talking about student loan debt.
The amount of student loan debt has really exploded over the last few years. Obviously, a reaction to the fact that people who couldn't find a job really thought going back to school would help them. Problem is they couldn't afford it, and now we're seeing a lot of those consequences.
Explain the difference between federal and private student loans for us.
The federal government will back student loans. About 85% or so of loans are backed by the federal government. About 15% of the loans are private student loans, which somebody would get through a bank or something else, but they're usually backed by investors on Wall Street. And so those interest rates will be a little bit higher. Now, they have one thing in common, though, which is you can't get rid of either of those types in bankruptcy except for very extreme circumstances.
Okay, and here's a statistic for you. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, America's average student graduates with a debt load between $23,000 and $27,000. So what are some of their options?
Well, I mean, the first and best thing to do is to kind of plan ahead, right? And so the best thing to do is as early as possible to set up something called a 529 account. And a 529 account basically allows you to grow money tax-free in an account that could be used for a dependent, yourself, or a close family member, so like a parent or a cousin, something like that, a niece, nephew. And by having that in place, you are getting the benefit of the growth without taxes, but also you get a tax credit on your Arizona state tax, and that could be up to $1,500.
And talk about grants.
There are a lot of opportunities that are out there that the school is going to offer to you. But what you really need to do is think about the other things that are out there. For a lot of people, it might be their church, their temple, their high school, and for some, an association that they might belong to.
You mentioned earlier, we were talking about this, association grants a lot of times go unused. Folks don't apply for these.
People just don't know they exist. And so you really need to reach out and think about your network of what you do in your regular life instead of just relying on the grants that are available through the school.
Okay, great. Good information, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Lots and lots, Faye, of good ideas for folks as we kind of think about heading back into college.
Celeste, I am frantically jotting notes, thanks to